Hello, good evening. My name is Morgan. I bid you all welcome back to Risen. And last episode, we finally met with the Dong, and he has sent us on a mission to recon his men in town, in Harbor Town, to figure out how they're faring in their ongoing efforts to undermine the Inquisition and drive them out of town. Before we head out, I wanted to bring up Fincher. Now, he was mentioned by name, mentioned by the Don by name, even though we hadn't spoken. He seemed to have something to say about us, even though we hadn't spoken to him at all. But I figure we're going to speak to him now. Now, I just want to preface this. He gives you a quest that is very much a Don forward quest. In this case, it is actually working against the interests of the Inquisition, so be careful taking this quest. It doesn't really harm anything to accept it now, which we're gonna do, but to actually complete it will actually lock you out of an alternative quest later on should you join the Inquisition. So I'm just gonna show it for demonstration purposes. You are not forced into doing it now, but it does move a lot of people out of this camp, which can make it very awkward if you need them for any reason.
So, the Don's giving you a chance.
Yes.
Lucky you.
Lucky me.
I know what it looks like, him skulking in that temple. Let me give you some advice. Don't underestimate him. He's just waiting for the right time. This island is the Don's, and he's gonna take it back.
Is that so?
What do you do for the Don?
I take care of
Seem to be
things.
freaking out a little bit.
Keep an eye on people. Right now, that mostly means the Inquisition, these white robes. These excavation sites are on our island. What right have the Inquisition to take everything? If you're not going to let them take you, you best get yourself some training.
I don't know why he's, so unsteady on his feet there.
Are you expecting the Inquisition to attack you?
They're building up their forces, pushing closer every day. It's only a matter of time before they try and overrun us.
What do you mean they're taking everything?
They're everywhere. A group of them even settled not far from the swamp in the southeast. They've been looting the temple ruin that shot out of the ground there. If we could capture that outpost, it would keep them off us for a little longer, give those beasts chance to whittle down their numbers.
You look like you're busting for a piss there, buddy.
Why haven't you captured it? Who is supposed to keep the white robes away?
Brogar and his fighters.
Brogar won't risk himself. Brogar is out to look after himself. He won't risk himself or his men.
How many times are you gonna say himself?
And who, in your opinion, should lead his fighters?
I feel like those were 3 different takes, and they weren't meant to use all 3.
You're a big boy. You lead the attack.
Looks like I'll have to. You want to prove yourself? Come to the edge of the swamp over in the south, and we'll teach the Inquisition a little lesson. If you're not all talk, I'll see you there. You wouldn't want people thinking you were a coward, would you?
I don't care what people think. So we cannot pickpocket him. He is a fighting instructor and the only instructor who can teach you sword skills up to level 10. But he doesn't offer past level 7 unless you are one of the Don's men. So bear that in mind. I believe I mentioned it before. If you don't join the Don, it is impossible to learn sword fighting past level 7. Axe fighting, on the other hand, inexplicably doesn't get locked out. So we can learn that from... What's his name? The ogre in there? I've already forgotten his name. But he will teach you up to level 10 no matter what guild you're a part of. So axe is the only, like, ubiquitous skill. For the record, once you liberate Sam from his woodcutting duties, he ends up over here just hanging out with Lewis. Lewis, meanwhile, never just seems to sober up. Alright, so there are 2 ways to get to the way we need to go. Our next step is to visit the farm that we saw back in episode 1. You can go back around to where you met Jan and just take the other road and end up down at the farm with them. Otherwise, you can go through here, which generally isn't worth it. But I'm going to demonstrate it anyway. As I said before, you don't have to kill these things. You can just leave. They are after me, which is not what I wanted. But I struggle with pathfinding as far as getting down the little cliff edge there. So the reason I say it's not really worth going this way is because there's a lot of critters down here. Goddamn Sanic the Hedgehogs. Now, the sting rats are incredibly obnoxious critters. I've mentioned it before. Well, you have the luxury of the fact that they can't really dodge you. I mean, they do a backpedal, but it doesn't go as far as most. Wow, they love to just get weird with their attacks. They do like to dance, though, if you just strafe back and forth, which is fun. The annoying thing about them is their combo attacks get real weird. They can really delay in between a couple of them. But, holy shit. They don't telegraph their attacks whatsoever. That's a common theme in this game. There's like a matter of a handful of frames on most enemy attacks to let you know that an attack is coming. But sting rats are the worst because their attack is literally just to move forward. So it can be very hard. Ow, the pain. I'm gonna restart that. Honestly, when I did this off screen, I did not have nearly this many problems. Bigger threats are on the other side of this cave here. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, and well, I think I'm adequately demonstrating why this really isn't the best way to go. You'll notice the gold vein here.
Wish I knew about prospecting.
We don't know about prospecting. I don't know if I mentioned before, but there's literally only one character who can teach prospecting in this game. And you don't encounter him until you get to town. Now, I say that. There might actually be others, but he is the only one you're gonna find anytime in the early game. Jesus Christ, these things. What? I was backing, paddling, and blocking. Holy shit. The other really annoying thing about the sting rats... Jesus! I've never had this many problems with these things. The other really annoying thing about the sting rats is they're one of very few enemies in this game where they don't fight you one-on-one if they're in a group. If you get near enough to several of them, they will just gangbang you. But they make it very annoying trying to dodge. Because if you do the sideways dodge, which is generally the best approach, you may just get close enough to get hit by another one of them. Vengeance is mine. Now here, I believe, is our first opportunity to actually pick a lock. Behold. Notice the tutorial, A or D to crack the combination. What you'll find is that this lockpicking minigame is extremely similar to Gothic 1 and 2, with a couple key differences. Number one is that you can see your progress as you go. Number two is that there's a very easy rule where every lock has an equal number of left and right turns. So on a four combination lock, there will be 2 lefts and 2 rights. On a 6 combination lock, 3 lefts, 3 rights. The only thing that changes is the order of them. That means in some cases it can be very easy to tell. Let's say there are actually a few 8-turn locks in the world where the first 4 go in one direction. Meaning once you've gotten that far, you can intuit that the other 4 go in the other direction. So even some of the master lock picks, the master lock skills... What? The master locks. No trademark infringement. Even some of those are easier than simpler locks, just because the combination is that stupid. Alright, now these wolves are actually the more dangerous right here. They have a lot more health than the sting rats. And hit quite a bit harder. But you have the luxury of them not being so gangbangy. Or if there's a rumbling, it's very distracting. Oh, you cheating bitch with your turd. How you like? And there's a couple more. If you wanted to, you could try and shortcut down there, but there's some wild bows. And the bows ain't no fun. The wolves will always come in a pack if they're close enough to aggro each other. Even if you only get the attention of one of them. Oh, I saw you trying to flank. I know your game. Yeah, they're playing tricky now. Ah, you cheating ass. Oh god, which one's you coming? Oh god, I'm stuck on a stick. Aye! I'm scared. God, they're bugging out. What's he doing? One down. Whoa, with your cheating 5 combo bullshit. Yeah! Playing real tricky now. We got him. Whew. Nearly outplayed. So yeah, had we gone the other way, we wouldn't have had to fight anything at all. But we're down at the farm, and that road up there, going up yonder, go back to Jan, which is the way we came when we first arrived here. Now, the fellows here on the farm are thankfully quite peaceful and, you know, forthcoming. They aren't going to give us any trouble, and in fact will be quite helpful. Sir? You're gonna have a long time sweeping up all that dirt, considering this is nothing but dirt.
Welcome, stranger. What's brought you to our troubled isle?
The tide. I'm a shipwreck survivor.
Well, it's a strange kind of luck that's washed you onto these shores. But I must warn you, you cannot wander freely around here. I don't mind, but the warriors of the Order are less forgiving.
Now, one thing I never noticed about Tristan here is he actually has a very faded tattoo on his neck. It's the same kind of weird tribal tattoo. It's actually the only tattoo I believe any character has in this game. They just have it in different places. But it's interesting, he's the only one I know that has like a faded tattoo, meaning that he's probably tried some, you know, some means of getting rid of it, but they don't have laser tattoo removal back in this era.
Who are you?
My name is Tristan, a novice of magic. I'm looking after this place, on the orders of the Convocation of Mages.
What is this place?
Just a simple farm. It's under the control of the Inquisition now. We cultivate the land and take care of the animals. Our work ensures the well-being of the Order and Inquisitor Mendoza's men.
You mentioned the convocation. What do the mages have to do with the Inquisition?
The Convocation of Mages has long had their seat here in the monastery, at the foot of the great volcano. It was a place of study and faith before the dark wave covered the land and those temple ruins had risen from the ground. And now the Inquisitor is here seeking to push back that darkness. We're very lucky he found us in our hour of need. Now the monastery not only serves as the mages' home, but also as a training camp for recruits of the Inquisition.
I see. What do you think I should do next?
Well, I wouldn't recommend you wander around alone. Quickest way to the next life. Perhaps you would be best advised to let the warriors of the Order train you as a recruit. Training with the fighting staff and the basics of magic could be just the thing for you. If you're not a fighter, there are merchants in the town might have use of you. Just make sure you don't get taken in by the outlaws that Don commands. Or is it that you are interested in the higher magic that we novices pursue? That would mean finding a way to the monastery without being arrested by the Inquisitor's men. You may find someone in the town who would help you do that. The choice is yours. In any case, you will find members of each group in Harbour Town. They can tell you more. So, if I were you, I would make that my first stop.
It's a fair point that he makes here. We'll get to it in a bit more. What? Get to it in a bit more detail in a bit. Something about that phrase seemed wrong, but I'll roll with it. But getting to town is your sure way to have access to all three possible factions. Not getting to town really only opens you to one. And it's a bit strange how this game treats the monastery, because it is the headquarters of two different factions that are ostensibly related, but are treated quite differently, sort of mechanically, in an annoying way, but almost identically in just about every other way. But we'll get to that once we're there, which is not going to be anytime soon.
Can you take me to Harbour Town?
I can't leave my post at the farm, I'm afraid, but Brother Teller will accompany you there if you wish.
Great. Thanks for the advice.
If you're wanting help, you must be willing to provide help in return.
Okay. What should I do for you?
Talk to my brothers here on the farm and make yourself useful. Once we no longer need your help, we'll happily escort you to Harbour Town.
How do you get into Harbour Town?
The law of the Inquisitor says that no one is allowed to be outside of the town without permission. The main gate of the town is currently being guarded by warriors of the Order. You can't just stroll in.
You novices must know other ways to get inside the town.
Well, yes. There is a way, but it's not easy to reach. Harbour Town has a rear entrance up to the north. As far as I know, that is guarded only by the Old Town Guards. You could try your luck persuading them to let you in.
Do you trade here on the farm?
Trade? With who? Other than Esteban's bandits, there's nobody out here.
What about me? Will you trade with me?
I don't have much to offer, but you're welcome to look.
Let's trade.
All he's got is some incidental stuff. A couple potions are always nice, but... Sir, you are just a place to pawn my own goods. Now, I don't recall if I demonstrated crossbows in the last episode, did I? The main difference with them versus bows is that you can get them to a full draw without having to stop and wait. So they're slightly more convenient. You only have to slow down to a walk when you're actually aiming to fire. So in that regard, they're more useful than bows. You only ever need one frying pan, one shovel, one pick at any time. Hoe? That ain't no hoe, that's a pitchfork. Rest of them we don't need. I got a fair stack of cash there. Very good. So we have enough money if we wanted to go back and get Hawkins' workers' gear. I don't want to do that because it's still ridiculously expensive for what it is. The other armor that I mentioned way back in episode 2 is actually in that chest right in front of us. It is about half as good as the workers' clothes that Hawkins sells you. but we don't gotta pay for it. The only problem is, if you walk in there and touch anything, Tristan will become hostile. There are a couple ways you can deal with that. Had we learned sneaking, we could actually go in the back door of the house and completely evade him and steal everything in sight. The other option would be a joke spell to distract Tristan while you run in there and get it. That also isn't really worth it, because the joke spell can get you access to much more useful stuff, much more valuable stuff later. So the one idea I have, which I actually just came up with moments ago, is to lure a critter to distract him. Now those moths will come in a group, and that's not really that convenient. So let me see if I can get one wild bow to come hither. Come hither. Oh god, I got 2 wild bows. No big deal.
We'll get him.
Oh god. Oh god. Help! So they're distracted by that. We can go in and snatch. I'm gonna lose a bit of XP for the boars they're killing, but I'll live with it. Unless I do the killing myself.
Deserve no mercy.
Alright, so we lost 60 XP on one of them. But in turn, they failed to notice us grabbing this seaman's clothing. Unfortunately, it still doesn't come with a goddamn pair of shoes. It also looks kinda lame. But it gives us 5 protection against blade and blunt, which is slightly more than what we had. So that's nice. Normally I just wouldn't bother getting that, if I'm honest. But I just came up with that idea of using a porcine distraction. So I thought I'd give it a bash. So, we need to help the farmhands.
Watch your feet. There's grain growing here.
It just looks like weeds, sir.
Do you need any help here?
No thanks. I could have done with you a while ago, though. Thanks anyway.
Tristan says you can take me to Harbour Town.
I can. But did Tristan say I should take you there?
Not exactly.
Well, ask me again when he does.
Too risky.
I would like to just say, and I always like to be pedantic, that this is all supposed to be wheat. It does not look anything like wheat. There's no grain, it's just grass. You're growing hay for horses and you ain't got horses.
Are you crazy walking round here? What do you think will happen if the Inquisition catch you, eh?
Are you gonna call them?
Hey, I won't give you away, but the warriors of the Order often come by here to check on things. So I'm just saying, you better be careful.
I like that they're a little bit more deliberate with the dialogue gestures in this game compared to previous ones. So when they're saying something suspicious, they look around. When they're being dismissive, they point and wave their hand. That kind of thing. It's a nicer touch than just generic stuff.
What do you do here?
I'm working in my field.
Your field?
Yeah. This one's mine and the other one on the other side of the path is Teller's. Of course, he's further along working his one. Always is. Don't know how he does it. He's already taken his whole harvest to the storehouse. But I'm afraid I won't be able to get my harvest in on time. I can't spot the ripe plants from the unripe. They all look the same to me.
Well, the difference between the ripe and the unripe is that the ripe ones show up with a name when you walk past them.
You need help?
You serious? Well, I wouldn't say no.
And what kind of compensation would not saying no come with?
Well, I'm only a novice, so I don't have much. But if you harvest the plants and bring them to me, I'll give you a healing potion. How about that?
Deal. I'll bring you those ripe plants.
Great. then I might actually be able to start my mage training before this place goes completely to the dogs. Just look out for the ripe ones in my field, alright? 10 should be enough. Bring them back here, alright?
So the distinguishing characteristic of the ripe ones, apparently, is that they just look like even shittier grass. It is what it is. So the only real trick to finding all these is just go in a sort of a square wave pattern. Do a little side to side action to make sure you spot them. If you're staring straight ahead, you may not catch it. Grains got.
Here are your 10 ripe plants.
Thanks. Without you, I would have been in a whole world of trouble. The healing potion is yours.
I suppose in hindsight, they didn't say that this was wheat specifically, but I don't know any grain that looks like this.
How often do these warriors of the Order come up here?
The Inquisitor sends one once every couple of days. They like to keep a check on things. He picks up what we've harvested and the meat and takes it to the Monastery, where they no doubt stuff their faces. If I were you, I'd hide when he shows up.
Thanks for the warning.
So they are giving you fair warning. The Warrior of the Order does indeed show up. Just be aware of that, but luckily he doesn't really catch you by surprise, as long as you're not an idiot running wantonly about when you shouldn't be.
Hey, how are things going here?
Not so well. Stuck in the middle of nowhere, a place where no one wants to be.
You're the happy-go-lucky, face life with a smile type, aren't you?
And you'd smile if a pack of hungry wolves was eating everything in sight. I used to have 6 pigs, and now look at what's left.
I see 2 pigs.
Hungry wolves. Just my thing.
It does you credit that you want to help me, but I have to warn you, those beasts haven't been here for several days. I figure they must be starving by now, so they'll be really dangerous.
Any good news?
Well, they're wolves, so none of them have swords. If you want back in 2 days, I'll assume they put you on the menu.
Great.
Yeah, this game predated Dark Souls by 2 years, so no, the wolves don't have swords.
Where do the wolves come from?
There's a small cave over there, to the north of here. I haven't been there, but I'd be willing to bet that's where their lair is.
Don't you have anyone who can protect you and your animals?
Yeah. The warriors of the Inquisition are more concerned with the gold from the temple ruins than with helping novices. We're on our own at best, at the mercy of the wolves at worst. Doesn't stop the Inquisition coming here demanding their tribute. I don't want to complain. I chose this myself. But sometimes it's exasperating.
You're being exploited by the warriors of the Order.
Well, you can't really say that. The mages bow to the law of the Inquisitor. You know, we all share the same religion, but the mages have urged us novices to stay neutral. That's why I don't have to worry about the Don's men. They know we won't do anything to them.
And your face gets terrifying when the lightning strikes. Alright, so right over here, you can spot the wolf pretty much immediately. No wonder they're having problems with it. They're literally right in their backyard. Luckily, the hungry wolves are not nearly as dangerous as conventional wolves. They're much like the wolves we were fighting on the coming up from the beach. They love their little spin when you smack them just right. We got a nice sparkly twinkly over here. Can I just say that this so-called small diamond is bigger than any diamond on Earth. Can't exactly make a diamond-studded nose ring or anything out of that. Wow, you're a slippery bugger. I cannot see. Ow. Oh, I'm onto your game. Ow. This camera and this damn awning. Not awning. Arch. Are conspiring against me. Right, so we got a few of the wolves. Our map doesn't really cover where this cave ends up letting out. But be warned, should you go all the way through here, you'll encounter far worse enemies than we've dealt with so far, and an area of the game that you're really not meant to be at anytime soon. Not until long after we're done with the town. That is one of the nice things about this game, is it does give you perfect freedom to go in any of the overworld areas at any time that you want. Was absolutely going with the classic Piranha formula of if you ain't supposed to be there, you're gonna know about it. Ow. Okay, wolves dealt with. Just do us a bit of looting real quick. It becomes very annoying after you've spelunked a few of these caves to remember which ones you gotta go back to in order to mine. So we know we got 2 gold veins, one in this one in Dorgan's cave, and a couple iron veins back in that cave, as well as the gnome cave we went through with Sarah back in times of yore. What are you doing here?
Hey, you! I have to warn you. There is a warrior of the Order on the farm.
So?
So, you aren't actually allowed to be here. If he sees you, he'll have you taken to the monastery.
So what do you suggest?
We'll have to wait here until he leaves. Follow me, keep quiet, and you can hide in our storehouse. There's a bed there. Get some rest. The warrior will be gone in a couple of hours. Understand?
What do I need to do?
All right, I'm going back to my post. You follow me, try to be inconspicuous. Stay to the left and you'll find our storehouse. Get some rest in there. When you wake up, the warrior should have gone, all right?
Right. Well, I suppose I'll have to trust you.
Great. Let's go. And make sure he doesn't see you.
Now we're gonna take a bit of time for some scientific inquiries here. Because there are things about this encounter that I didn't know, because before committing to this walkthrough, there are ideas in the interest of being thorough that just never crossed my mind before. Now there's the feller there. He doesn't give you any shit until you come real close to him, so be warned. You can actually get close enough to talk to Tristan, as long as he's not looking in your direction. And Tristan will also warn you much the same.
It would be better if you left before the warrior of the Order caught you.
But in the interest of seeing what happens, just be aware that this is a slight spoiler for what is to come. I'm not actually going to talk to anybody when we see what happens. I just wanted to demonstrate it. Should you try and attack the warrior,
this doesn't look good.
you will find, and not only is he a tough customer,
This has to stop.
but you cannot injure him. He literally has God mode on.
This has to stop.
So once you started fighting, you're fated to lose. He can basically one-shot you.
That's gonna cause trouble.
Gnosis, peculiar fate to black, a loading screen. And here we are, in a place we've never seen before. And our weapons were left behind because the game doesn't let us pick them back up before we are made to move here. Where we are is actually the monastery that we heard so much about. They were not kidding when they said, should you get caught outside the town by a warrior of the Inquisition, you will be shanghaied away to the monastery and forced to join the Order. Now, I'm not going to talk to this fellow. We are actually going to get very similar dialogues once we come here of our own accord, so I'll just show it all then. But if you get forced here by getting caught outside of town. And this applies to any Inquisition warrior you meet outside of town, including the ones at the camp that Fincher wants to go take out. Your only choice is to join the Warriors of the Order. You are not given the opportunity to become a mage, and you are technically not given the opportunity to become one of the Don's men again. There's a caveat with that, a very strange one that I didn't fully explore back in the livestream days, but I will address that as well once we actually get here conventionally. But we don't want to be here, so I am reloading. I want to demonstrate a few things that I only learned a couple weeks ago when I was getting ready to do this episode. Alright, now for demonstration purposes, I've enabled cheat mode. I'm just going to enable God mode, because what I want to show you is something that I never would have guessed and nobody would normally figure out, which is what would happen if you actually won the fight against a warrior. Because you are not supposed to be able to win this fight, since he has God mode. There's no way to deal enough damage to actually defeat him. I've tested it by basically artificially giving myself like hundreds of strength and a much better weapon, and there's no way within the confines of the game, or even with a reasonable amount of cheats, to actually deal any damage to this fellow. He just straight up has God mode on, much the same as I do. But there are ways to defeat God mode using cheats of our own.
No good will come of this.
Now, as long as you're focused on an NPC and you have the console open, there are a couple commands you can do on them. I'm not going to demonstrate many of them here, but the two relevant ones are defeat, which knocks them down. You can yoink his stuff.
It would be better if you left before the warrior of the Order caught you.
Well, as you can tell, they haven't really accounted for you winning in a non-lethal way, because nobody has anything to say about it. This guy will eventually get back up, and you'll see what happens when that happens.
This doesn't look good.
He goes right back to fighting you, because he has no AI to go back to neutral or peaceful mode. So, with that being the case, what's our other alternative? Well, there's one way to shut this sucker up for good.
This has to stop. That was murder. Plain and simple. It's been a murder.
Now, it is important to distinguish the fact that console commands in the Genome Engine games are different than they were in the Zengen games, where the kill and defeat commands in the Zengen games counted more or less as environmental kills. You didn't get XP for it. It didn't flag you for murder or anything like that. But in the Genome games, they actually do. Now, bear in mind, the only Genome games you can actually use the console on are Risen and Gothic 3. But, as you saw, or as you heard, everyone else accosted us as a murderer when I ran that script. You also may have seen that there was actually a quest that completed when we did that. That is an impossible to complete quest because of the fact that it completes when you kill him, and killing him is impossible in, you know, the confines of the game, since he has God mode on. Which means this subsequent dialogue is also something that probably almost nobody has ever heard before.
Stop bothering me, murderer.
Wait a minute.
I can't be seen with you.
Well, come on now. Okay, right. I forgot. So, the murderer, him saying
Stop
that
bothering me, murderer.
is because he has witnessed us committing murder, which means he's basically offended. Which means he won't talk to us normally. So in order to get the dialogue that I mentioned, the joke spell makes him forget and removes the offended flag off of him. But he has a dialogue that's meant to follow this hidden quest that is impossible to ever get. So this is what you probably never heard before.
What have you done? You have killed an honorable warrior of the Order. I will seek justice. Let's get to the fight!
So that cancels that quest, which again is pretty much never possible in this game. Unless you murder one of the other NPCs involved. Now the thing about Tristan is, guess what? This sucker also has God mode. Which means defeating him is never possible. Unless you do this. And should you speak with him after cheating to knock him down?
You're one hell of a fighter.
He just stops caring at all. But the quest to get a novice to lead us to town has permanently disappeared. So all we have access to now is him as a trader. So, with all that said, none of this is meaningful. There's no reason to do any of it. And in fact, it's ostensibly impossible to do any of that. So instead, we're just gonna follow what the swineherd said. We're just gonna have to trust that he has our best interests in mind. While we're in here, we'll just help ourselves to a bit of this. And would you look at that? The man spoke the truth. We are not apprehended, and the warrior is gone.
The warrior's gone. It was a good job I saw you first, or you'd be on your way to the monastery. I'd say you got lucky there.
I would say the same,
wolves
sir.
are dead.
You killed them? That's a relief. I can finally sleep peacefully again. Here, take this as thanks. I could never have done that alone. I hope you'll find your way, my friend.
I hope so too.
Farewell, and thanks.
Alright, so with that done, we should finally have completed enough for Tristan to let us have our escort.
About your farm. The wolves in the nearby cave are dead.
It seems fate was kind to me, washing you to these shores. Take this as a reward.
Teller doesn't have anything for me to do. He finished his work a while ago.
Ah yes, Teller is our hardest worker. 24 of him and our problems would be over.
Alas, you've got but
Grain
one.
harvest is finished.
Good. It's reassuring to know that if we must die, we will not die hungry. Here are a few coins. Alas, Thomas is our problem child. If he worked as hard as he moaned, he'd have completed the harvest long ago. Perhaps he should reconsider his desire to be a mage.
Yes, being a mage has so much to do with picking grain.
I think I've done everything there is to do on your farm.
Then be on your way. And my thanks go with you. Oh, and here. These items can go with you too. And may the holy flame light your way in these dark times. Oh, if you still want to go to Harbour Town, then go and see Brother Teller. He'll show you the way to the northern entrance of town.
Thanks.
It's all I ever wanted. But I will also take this egg. The funny thing about eggs, they give you an XP bonus every time you eat one. Which is kind of meaningless. I mean, 5 XP when we need another like 1,000 to level up. And there's no recipes you can cook that involve an egg as far as I can recall.
Tristan says you should take me to the rear gate of Harbour Town.
All right. But it's a long, dangerous journey. This island is far from safe, you know. So be prepared.
I am
ready.
prepared.
Let's go to Harbour Town.
Stay behind me. All right?
As with most characters that you just follow places, you can pretty much rely on them to just take out all the enemies on the way. Whether or not he's invincible, he should have enough health to pretty much endure
Follow
whatever.
me.
I'm
The
following.
island is full of dangers. Even this lake down here. Stay on the walkway, and you should be safe. Let's move on.
I'm moving.
We have to move on.
I'm moving. Actually, I'm stopping and I'm picking weeds. So I can sell these to good old Robart later.
This is it. That way leads to the main gate of Harbour Town. I suggest you don't go down there, though. That will take you to the Warriors of the Order. You want to go to the Monastery to join the Order? Go that way. You don't want that? Don't go there, because they won't give you a choice.
Thanks. I think I get the point. Let's go on.
All right, we're moving. If you follow this path up, you'll end up at the Monastery. But the sign will tell you that, right?
That's what signs are for.
Need me to guide you further?
Yes. Go on.
Come on then.
So unfortunately, he doesn't lead you quite all the way to town. There's a novice there. We'll worry about him when we're actually heading to the monastery, which comes at a future date. But Tristan doesn't lead you all the, or Taylor doesn't lead you all the way to the other gate, but far enough to find your own way.
You'll have to make your own way to the rear entrance of the town, but it isn't much farther. From here, keep heading south through the narrow corridor. Keep going until you reach a high cliff, then follow that. It'll take you straight to the town gate.
And I can just walk in?
One of the town guards will probably be outside the gate, but I'm sure you can find a way to convince the sentry to let you pass.
Convince them? How do I do that?
If you have enough gold on you, I'm sure that will help persuade him. That's how the old guards seem to work. Corruption is everywhere.
I see.
Now I need to get back to my grain field. Good luck.
I thought you were done with the grain field, you braggart. But apparently you still got work to do. So follow his words precisely. Head all the way down, just south. Which means going this way. Not up the cliff, but down the road. There's a Nomi there. I'm not fussed with Nomis right now. Now they do give you... One of the ways you can tell that you're going the right way is they give you the weak enemies to fight. These hungry wolves are even weaker than the hungry wolves what we fought before. So if you head off the beaten path, or the intended path, and you end up fighting things that are beyond your means, then you know you're going the wrong way. Oh, these are wolves. Wolves. That's fine, we can deal with wolves. Excellent. There's a cave here, which I'll be honest was a cave I actually don't think I ever explored until I did the live streams last year ahead of the walk. Run. Those things are bad. I didn't actually even see it there. Look at them creeping. With creepy hands. Oh. He's eating the wolf. Now this game doesn't quite have the AI nuance like Gothic 2 had. I think Gothic 1 as well. Where if you lured a carnivorous creature or a scavenger-based creature, not like scavengers necessarily by name, but creatures that would eat just the random corpses of anything that you encountered or left behind. In Gothic 2, at least, you could lead them just past a corpse and they would stop following you so long as you hadn't damaged them yet. This game doesn't quite have that nuance, but you can try and at least get them to de-aggro and then focus on a nearby corpse like that ghoul did. Ghouls, for the record, suck balls. Probably the most annoying enemy in this game. We are not at all equipped to fight them now. Sting rats? No problem. Unfortunately, we have a deceased young lass here. Who had a purse. The corpses that you find out and about
Wasn't it?
come off a bit strange to me in this game. They're always in a face down, just slightly off kilter pose like that. It is one of the weirdest death poses I've ever seen for generic corpses in any video game. In Gothic 3, they were all just in the fetal position.
Hey, you. Don't
Hey,
you know
you.
it's forbidden to run around outside the town?
Are you part of the town guard?
That's right. I'm guarding the gate so no one can leave.
Shouldn't you stand inside then?
Well, I also have to stop people coming in.
What if I want to get in?
I'm sure we can come to an arrangement. Or would you rather go to the monastery?
Now, how does that make any sense as far as rules go? That nobody's allowed to be outside, but nobody who is outside is allowed to come in. Seems like you're just setting up everybody to fail.
How much to let me in?
100 gold coins, but you can't come and go as you like. Once you're in, you're in.
You're asking for a lot of gold.
Be glad I don't take twice as much to save you from the monastery. But I'm not an arsehole. I'm willing to haggle. If you don't have enough gold, you can trade things instead.
What are things like in the town?
Used to be good, but since Don Esteban left, Inquisition's in charge now. Brought the farmers into town, then sealed the gates. That's the Inquisitor's new law. And Commandant Carlos has everyone who violates the law taken to the monastery.
What can you tell me about Commandant Carlos?
He's the new boss.
Same as the old
He and
boss.
his warriors of the Order try to keep law and order.
They try.
Well, the Don's men don't let them have it all their own way, right? Things are quiet now, but that could change any time.
Tell me about Don Esteban.
Great man, great man. Most people probably think he ran away from the Inquisition, but that's not true.
No?
No. He set up camp in the swamp to take gold out of the ruins himself. That's what this is all about. Gold. He left a couple of his men here to carry on his business while he gets his share.
That's not the vibe I got from speaking with the man. He seemed quite clear that he was ashamed of his situation. And to be frank, a man like him wouldn't need to be out in the swamp himself collecting the gold. If he had a choice in the matter, he would just be sending his men out to do it while he stayed here in the lap of luxury.
What's going on in the monastery?
They say they do training, but everyone knows they enchant people up there.
Enchant them?
A couple of the boys they took are back in town. Before, they didn't take the law seriously. Now they blindly follow the Inquisitor. If that's not enchantment, you explain it.
Maybe they're weak-minded.
That's what you say. But I'm telling you, the Inquisitor has ways to make you obey. And once you enter the monastery, you're at his mercy.
I do like the concept that the Inquisitor has sort of brainwashing powers or skills of some kind. But other than the hearsay around town, that never really comes up as a theme, unfortunately.
So the town has divided loyalties.
You live here, you've got to choose. Stay loyal to the Don, to our people, or help the swanky bastards from the mainland. Of course, you can just keep your head down, try and keep out of trouble.
Trouble finds people.
If you say so. I just follow orders, mate.
And take
But
bribes
trust
in between
me, you
orders.
don't want to side with the Order. You want to help the Don.
And you work for the Don?
Me? No. I'm part of the town guard. And all citizens must do what Commandant Carlos says.
And you don't like that?
You can't cut deals with the warriors of the Order. The Don's men were always open to a good deal.
You mean you could buy them off?
Call it what you want. A deal is a deal. And everyone was happy.
Let's trade.
So you can just give any of your crap to him. If you don't have enough money to get into town. Luckily we have plenty of money, so I don't really have to give him anything. You can have that anyway.
Just let me in.
I'll let you in, provided you have the gold.
Oh, the gold I have.
Here's your gold.
All right, but not a word to anyone about our little deal. Otherwise, we'll both wind up in the monastery.
Are you going to let me in?
Well, you want to go in uninformed, that's up to you. But here, at least take a town map. Good luck. You'll need it.
Well, how kind. You give a map to everybody who comes walking up to this gate? So that's quite the gift there. And the map isn't the most handy thing in the world. Don't really call out anything in particular. You just kind of have to learn for yourself what building is what. But it is what it is. Now, if you do want to leave...
When I wish to. How do I leave?
Think you can get away with that?
Who are you trying to punish? Me? Or the other people here?
I said out!
Don't get your hopes up.
Well, out is the way I want to go, jerk. So yeah, they literally don't let you back out. Once you're in, you're in. Just bear that in mind before you head into town. You don't really get a choice in the matter.
Get out!
You're also not allowed up there, so... I don't know if there's a particular way to get out of the town from here. Maybe. I'm getting there. Well, they do get hostile if you're up here, so bear that in mind. It's not really convenient.
Yeah, get out of here!
I'm out of here. But yeah, they don't want you anywhere near these structures here at the south gate. The north, I guess, is more of an east gate? Yeah. Now, the gate on the other side of town, that was guarded by the Warriors of the Order. But technically, I didn't really show it, but I can show it in the next episode. Technically, there's a way to get in, but I'm not sure you actually ever get the means to do so at this point in the game. But that's also your way out if you really felt like getting out of here again. And for the record, if you do find your own way out of town, even though you're not technically supposed to, you can come back in here and pay this man a second time to get back in. But obviously, that cost stacks up, so you really don't want to be leaving until you're done with your business here. Speaking of, we'll be taking care of that business in the next episode. And I truly hope to stop with these long 3 to 4 week delays in between episodes and actually get these out on a regular basis, but... well, that's a promise I've made 5 times so far and have not made good on, so... until next time, have yourselves a wonderful... night. Whatever time of day you're watching this, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you next time.